Welcome back to another episode of Dead by Daylight. Today I'm going to talk about just chases and loops for beginner players. The two things I'm going to emphasize with these two clips are Bloodlust and how you can make the most out of your time when you're outside of Bloodlust, and looping. Now, these two are older bits of footage. You can tell this is some New Year's footage. So the play is not as good as it could be, and I kind of want to emphasize that's the point. The point of this is that these are not the best ran loops and best ran courses, and you're still able to waste max amount of time, right? So I could be looking back a little bit more, but I do have an inkling that Demogorgon is following me, and I'm kind of using my scratches to my advantage, so he'll want to follow me, but he hasn't quite seen me. But right now, no Bloodlust, so he has no speed boost and no incentive to keep following me. He just sees these scratches. So he knows I'm coming through. I think he's got a notification off that window. He's coming through, and I think if he wouldn't have made that turn sideways with the rotation, he wouldn't have saw me up there, because I didn't leave the scratches going up. But he did. So now we're in full-on chase. Get out of the stall there, buddy. And he now is going to be accruing Bloodlust. So if he's in chase long enough, he will be getting a speed boost. Here, I should have hung a little bit wider turn. I could have got a fast vault, but seeing this in retrospect, he still would have got the hit. I get the speed boost out, so I'm running. Check behind me. No reason to waste the pallet. I'm going to go ahead and get the vault through. Leary's rework, I can't wait for them to do this with other maps. Just as a side note, the nerd in me. I've been looking at it, it's so great, and I think that's what the killer was doing too right there. Neither of us really know where we're at. You never see a pallet stun where the killer's sideways, man. So he's having just as much trouble rooting this map as I am running. He has a swing and a miss here. I'm running, and I'm able to actually, kind of loop office to office, corner to corner. Give you a bad pallet. It's not a safe pallet. I'll kind of get on. He should have broke this earlier, and if he would shred right here, he would probably be able to cut me off or stop me from being able to get out of the room as easily as I do. But now we're going. I haven't had to expend that many resources, and he's lost 2 pallets. Right there, if I would have just dead-harded a little bit sooner, or potentially ran just a little bit more efficiently in one spot, he would have eaten that pallet. I wouldn't have gotten hit, because the trade was pretty close, and, we would have continued on. But, 2 pallets, 2 gens for the price of, what was that, 2 to 3 pallets, and, a ton of his time. If you can let your scratch marks at the beginning of the match kind of do some work for you instead of be a detriment to you, that's a help. Just because, the scratch marks are there doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work against you. So now here is a full match. Rancid Abattoir, Coldwind Farm. Farms, corn maps. These maps are, forget the corn, that's the least of your worries. The fact that it's a maze, beside a maze, inside of a maze, on top of a maze. It's basically the back of one of those kids menus at any kind of restaurant. They want you to get through it with the crayon. It is mazes on mazes out here. It's actually a little bit ironic that, there's corn and it's so many mazes. But seriously though, we're looking at more of the busted maps in the game if you're against Killer, and the reason I'm wanting to show you this is because if you're wanting to play as Killer, you need to understand when to let go of certain generators. Realizing that certain generators are nested in god loops or other really strong loops that you just aren't going to be able to get certain survivors off of. And if that's the case, you need to cut your losses. You need to move the generators you can stop, that you can do something about. This is obviously, like I said, old school footage, Hex Ruin. I don't mind the rework now that I've kind of dealt with it for a couple of months. I was really mad about it when Hex Ruin was first reworked, but now I realize some people have 30 frame per second, 60 frame per second TV. Some people are on PC, some people are on console. I'm going to take a hit through that, as I rightly should. There's Hex Ruin, as we're talking about right there. The crazy thing about Hex Ruin from back in the day, if you're new to this, is it was a must to break that totem if you had it back in the day. So if you get the spawn of this tile where the back window back there is closed off, this side window is open, that's going to mean that this back railing that would be to our right as we walk in will be closed off, meaning that you have to come down here, bottlenecks you to the top, and then it will literally bottleneck you back through the top, and the only way out is through that window. Killer only has one way to me. If he's not at that window, if he's coming to the other side, he has no way to me. So again, I could be running this much more cheeky. I could be a lot closer, let him get a lot closer to me. I could be closer to the wall, but still, you can run this loop sloppily and still make massive use out of it. I just ran through that window so many times that it blocks off. And still, here I am, hopping out of another window, making use. Let's see if we can get to another loop to then kind of waste his time a little bit. This is hardly even a structure, much less a loop. It is a TL, so I mean, TLs you can do something through, you can make them work, but you know, I'd rather not futz around with a TL right now. I do see that he's following me, which that's the mistake. This is the point in the video where he should have already been gone. Even though I'm not near the God loop, he knows. He knows that I know about it, and he knows I'm kind of camping it. Just go somewhere else. Just forget about this. Because you still have 4 gens operational. The game isn't lost right now. But he's got tunnel vision, as I kind of would too. I'm injured. There's a gen here. It's low-hanging fruit. It's very juicy. So I could see... I could see making a fuss out of it. Here he is. He sees me. Takes the bait. He's going to hop right back outside. I realize I'm running towards him for some reason. Why would I do that? And now he's kind of getting the picture that he's going to have to get away from me in order to make this match happen. But I also think he's realizing I'm not working on the gen, so that's keeping him kind of at bay. And that gives me a little bit of time to come out here and deal with what was once the most formidable headache perk of the day if you're running against it. It wasn't that bad, but it was one of those things that it you know, you saw it more than you wanted to. Hey, there you are. I thought he was behind me, at least in the video. So, something to note about, or to think about, is always try to keep up with where the killer might be. He caught me so off guard that I actually had to dead hard to make the distance to get to the window. And if he would have lunged correctly, he would have got that melee. But he didn't. That's the only time in this video, however, that it was so... This was ran so badly that the mistake, it was unsafe. We'll just say that. And that was really me getting back to the God loop, not knowing where the killer was from the get-go. So if you run a loop like this and you are able to get it much more tight, you recognize it more comfortably in real time, you know, you start to see the killer and you realize your blood pressure doesn't have to jump up. You don't have to be scared. You don't have to worry as much. And you can actually kind of bully the killer in a way. And you don't have to, you know, teabag and all this, but you are completely unreachable. You are safe. You are unhittable. And if he's going to give the time of day, waste that time on you, then you can blow 2 skill checks in a row. You can do whatever you want to do, and generally you're pretty safe. Right now he's out there doing things, and skill checks are popping off, and he's going, this guy, I gotta try to snipe him. Alright, try to snipe him. Oh wait, he's back out the window. Forget this. I'm gone. I'm out. Now, I want to point out something real quick. This is not me blasting this killer. A, I don't know this killer's name, and B, I can't tell you I would have done any better. What I'm trying to point out is if you're a killer player, what you have to do is cut your losses when you see a strong position in a fortress generator, what I call it. A generator protected by a God loop or something of that, you know, nature. If they're going to get it, let them get it early, and then let them 3-gen themselves with a generator that's way less safe and something that you can patrol, something you could do something about. So even though it's a survivor video, I actually want this to be for killers to know, hey, let this be a lesson. Don't let this happen to you. The gens are going to get done. You know, a lot of games, even the 5, you're going to have 5 gens get done, and I'm not going to say there's nothing you could do about it. There was, but not many mistakes. You didn't have many mistakes you could have made, and they're going to get the 5 gens done. That doesn't mean they get the gates open. That doesn't mean that, you know, each of them survives. It's a lot of things you got to be looking at as to whether or not you succeeded or not. You know, don't look at it like you have to 4K or bust. But just if you're chasing somebody, don't commit more than 15 to 20 seconds. Unless it's specific circumstances, such as they're the only survivor left alive, or, you know, something to that effect. Don't just get this tunnel vision that you have to get that survivor, especially if they've shown 30 seconds or more, multiple generators, that they're going to be a thorn in your side. Forget about them. Go about somebody weaker. The best way to deal with those really good loopers is get them out of position. Best way to get them out of position is to hang one of their buddies up on a hook. So then they have to come out and they have to deal with you outside of the hook, outside of any kind of loop, outside of anything. And then they're on your terms. So I don't know. Maybe that'll help. I appreciate you coming and watching. Thank you. Any comments would be appreciated. And yeah, hopefully you have a great week.